In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. We solved thus far by taking square roots. Now we're going to solve by factoring. So you have to remember all the different ways you learn how to factor, difference of squares, trinomials a greater than 1 or a equal 1. Here's our first example. I want to solve this by factoring. So you have to remember your factoring rules. Remember is you're saying what numbers will multiply. So two numbers that multiply to this last number. Then when you combine them together, you get the middle number. Think about the two factors that multiply to negative 18. That'll add and give you a 3. Right? So what about 6 times negative 3? That's negative 18. And 6 minus 3 is positive 3. So great, those work. So we're going to factor now. So I have x plus 6, x minus 3 equals 0. I didn't say this from the beginning. Whenever you solve a quadratic by factoring and the quadratic formula, it has to equal 0. When we took the square roots, we didn't have to worry about it equaling 0. But whenever you factor a quadratic formula, which we'll talk about soon, you have to make sure your equation equals 0. So our equation equals 0 from the beginning here, so that's great. So now we're just going to solve it. So this really means x plus 6 equals 0, x minus 3 equals 0. Solve for x. So one solution is negative 6, and the other solution is going to be positive 3. Okay? So those will be your answers. Let's try another one. X squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. Same deal. You're saying, okay, what numbers will multiply to negative 6? Then when I combine them together, I get a negative 1. Remember, it's a negative 1 in front of this x. And we're in good shape because it already equals 0, which is what we want it to be. So let's think. Numbers that multiply to 6, that'll give us a 1. Well, negative 3. Come on. 3 times 2 is negative 6. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So that's what works. So we're going to factor. So I'm going to have x minus 3. X minus 3, x plus 2 equals 0. So now we're going to solve. We got x minus 3 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. Add 3. Add 3. So x equals a positive 3. Subtract negative 2 minus 2. So x equals a negative 2 also. So our solutions, our roots, our zeros for this equation is x equals 3 and x equals negative 2. Okay, here's another example. Oh, look, this time it doesn't equal 0. It doesn't equal 0. So we have to make it equal 0 by moving that 20 to the other side of the equal sign. So we're going to add 20 on both sides. So add 20, and remember, no like terms right now, so we're just going to have x squared plus 9x plus 20 equals 0. Okay? So now we're going to factor like normal. Say what numbers multiply to 20 that combine together and give me a 9. Well, 4 times 5 equals 20. And 4 plus 5 equals 9. So we're great. So we're going to factor it as x plus 4 times x plus 5 equals 0. Set them both equal to 0. Minus 4 on both sides. So x equals negative 4. Subtract 5 on both sides. X equals negative 5. Those are the solutions. Next one, we got 16x squared equals 8x minus 1. Oh, again, it's not equal to 0, so we have to make it equal 0. So I'm going to move both of them at the same time. So to move the 8x over, I know I need to subtract 8x. And to move the 1, I know I need to add 1. So this one would be 16x squared minus 8x plus 1 equals 0. Alright, and remember we did this by factoring by grouping because this time the a value is greater than 1. So remember we multiply the first and last number together and we get 16. So I'm looking for numbers that multiply to 16 that combine and give me a negative 8. So what about negative 4 times negative 4? That's 16. And negative 4 minus 4 is negative 8. Great. So I'm going to write this as 16x squared minus 4x minus 4x plus 1 because I'm factoring by grouping. So I had to create 4 things to group. Group here. Group here. GCF of this side is 4x. So I'm left with 4x minus 1 in parentheses. And in this set of parentheses over here, my GCF is going to be a negative 1. So I have 4x minus 1 left in that set of parentheses. So, put them together, I'm going to end up with 4x minus 1 times 4x minus 1 equals 0. So if I set both of those equal to 0, 4x minus 1 equals 0. And I solve that, add 1, 4x equals 1, divide by 4. My solution is x equals 1/4. And I had two of the same things here, two of the same factors. So this one only has one solution. Unlike all our other problems that had two, this one only has one. Okay. Last example. This one we have to move a lot of things over to the other side. So I have to move this 2x squared over here. I have to move the 4x over also. And I also have to move the 1. So I end up with 5x squared minus 10x minus 11x plus 1 equals 0. We got to factor by grouping again, so multiply the first and last number together because the a value is greater than 1. So that's going to be, sorry, that's a 2. Oh, not 1, that is a 2. 1 plus 1 is 2, not 1. So multiply the 10, that combined to give it a negative 11. So negative 10 times negative 1 is 10. And negative 10 minus 1 is negative 11. So those work. So factor, we're going to have 5x squared minus 10x minus 1x plus 2 equals 0. Group them together. GCF of this set is 5x. So I'm left with x minus 2 in parentheses. GCF of this set is negative 1. So I'm left with x minus 2 in parentheses. So I end up with 5x minus 1 times x minus 2 equals 0. I'm going to set them both equal to 0 over here. So I have 5x minus 1 equals 0. Solve that one. Add 1 to both sides. 5x equals 1. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. X equals 1/5. And the other one, x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2 to both sides. So x equals 2. So this one had 2 solutions. So solving by factoring, key thing to remember, it has to be equal to 0. And if it can't be factored, there's another method. I'll talk about that in an upcoming video. Please let me know if you have any questions and leave comments below.